Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Jamie Marich with the Institute for Creative Mindfulness. One of the most common questions that we get from trainees is what happens if something doesn't work, a technique or a certain element of a therapeutic approach? We stress that in any care that is trauma informed, there is always a modification, and any resistance that the client may voice deserves to be heard and explored. So, in the following 3 vignettes, you will see Rachel Weaver and I demonstrate how to do that. Rachel is in the role of DBT therapist, and I am playing the role of client. Although it is a composite of different resistances, different reasons, different struggles that I've heard clients navigate over the years, you're also going to see some elements of how I can behave as client. So, we'll be using 3 classic DBT skills: mindfulness, emotion regulation, and distress tolerance as the templates here for some exploration and discussion. Hope you enjoy and hope that it gives you some good ideas.
So can I play client here?
Sure.
Because, I've heard every excuse in the book why people can't do mindfulness. So I'm
Uh-huh.
going to channel some of that
Please
and
play client.
be a DBT/EMDR client. So my counselor, Rachel's just shown me this list. And I don't understand how this, like scanning the room with my senses and sitting mindfully, is going to help me avoid getting in power struggles with my partner. Like,
Mhm.
what's that about?
Absolutely. You bring up a really good point because this maybe passive aspect of mindfulness might not feel like it's making the jump. But what we want to do is set that foundation so the more aware that you are of your surroundings and in turn yourself, if you're bringing back to the present moment, it can be okay, my partner or my significant other just said something to me that I'm identifying is bothering me, is triggering me. And what I would like to do is rip their face off because I know they say this and do this all the time. They just said and did this last week. Well, if we can bring it back to this present moment, this present occurrence, in the words of Mara Tesler Stein, the fuel tanks that may be back there that would fuel turning this argument from maybe a 2 into a 10 can be a preventative factor by staying present and focused and mindful in the moment, or feeling that trigger coming up and going, okay, all right, I noticed that the carpet is green and the blinds are blue. And so if that can keep you in the here and now for that conversation or that argument, you might end up finding that you have a lot more success with the communication than you do with the fuel tanks that are raging in the background.
I probably won't believe it until I try it.
Yeah, which that is totally fine. And this is the great thing about DBT, right? For some of these skills is you can experiment with it. You can try it out. So if you're thinking, you know what, that mountain of the argument with my partner that I know is inevitably going to come up again, I don't know if I can use that skill just yet with the partner. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there somebody else that maybe you have some mild annoyances with that you could say, oh, in this moment, I know I'm going to have this conversation coming up. Let me see if I can practice the skill then.
And what's it mean to recenter? I mean, it sounds like that's something you weird yoga people say, like, "Ooh, center yourself, center yourself." What does that even mean, Rachel?
Yeah. So recentering can mean whatever is for you, where you are at homeostasis. You are at
Huh?
kind of,
What
yeah,
what's
exactly.
homeostasis?
Exactly. You're at equilibrium. You are at,
Huh?
exactly. You are at balance. You are at, let's say that high highs, low lows, right? Because I remember you telling me
Uh-huh.
that you've had times where, oh my gosh, I feel great on top of the world. And then I crash down into depression. Or, oh my gosh, I'm super angry and I'm just yelling and screaming. But then I come back down. We don't want those high highs and those low lows. What we want is that balance beam, that in between where we're taking the scales, the
Mm.
emotional scales, and making them balance out. So that just means kind of like when you're chilling, when you're feeling kind of your most okay self, that kind of middle aspect. So when we say centered, it
Mm-hmm.
means when you're feeling most Jamie, when you're feeling most okayness of Jamie-ness.
I don't know what that means yet, but I like you like the teeter-totter thing.
I do. We use that a lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you could
You
think of a
must
roller coaster, right? So roller coaster, oh my gosh, comes up, comes up, comes up, oh my gosh, comes down. But
mm-hmm.
there's also parts in a roller coaster where it has to
Mm-hmm.
level off, right? And then it has
Mm-hmm.
to get some more momentum. That leveling off is what we
Yeah.
want to do when we talk about centering. That leveling off is
Mm-hmm.
what we talk about when we want to have some core mindfulness skills.
I just can't help it. I am an emotional person. You know, I've been told my whole life that I'm the sensitive one, I'm the
Sure.
overreactive one. I mean, yeah, all these skills sound well and good and ride the wave and yada yada, but I in that moment I just can't help what's coming up emotionally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it absolutely would feel that way in the moment, right? So sometimes we have those knee-jerk reactions because we are an emotional being. Or like you had said that some of your family said, "Oh, you're sensitive," or you have reactivity. What these skills will do is to not take away that emotional self, not take away who you are, but to be able to give you some tools so that when that emotion comes up, you don't feel that you're drowning in the emotion, but that you can still have and experience the emotion, but not let it knock you over with this wave of sadness or this wave of anger. The emotion will still remain, but instead of getting into the ocean where the waves are crashing, maybe it's going to allow you to be maybe a little bit closer to shore. Emotions are still going to be there, but the skills will be able to help you to manage it so you don't feel overwhelmed by them.
But here's the thing, yeah, tools, tools, tools. And our friend Michael says tools are like life jackets and all of this. But I mean, I can't remember to use them
Mm,
in that moment when it just like it comes out of nowhere and I do end up ripping their face off.
hmm And that kind of leads to some other skills that we're going to talk about as well, where you can use some interpersonal effectiveness and repair that relationship in the moment. But remember how we talked about earlier that sometimes with these skills, with these tools, it's like the bodybuilding competition of life. It's going to be really hard to pull out a skill when you're in that moment of feeling that emotion unless you practice. That's why we have to practice those 5-pound weights so that when you get into a 200-pound situation with your mom, that you don't go, oh, well, my 5-pound isn't working. Well, no, here's a 200-pound situation. So when we can practice the skills, when we can try them out, and then you and I, we've done some, back and forth with, I'll play your mom, then you try to use the skill. We kind of role play. That's something that we can continue to do so that you can practice, because you're right. Going from here to having the conversation with your mom, it's not going to be an automatic, I can do this with the skills. It's going to
Mm-hmm.
take some time.
And the practice will help.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just like when people are practicing or preparing for anything, I know that you said that you used to ice skate. So when
Mm-hmm.
you first learned to ice skate, did you go out and do these beautiful pirouettes and triple axels and as soon as you stepped onto the ice?
Most definitely not. I was clinging to the side of the wall for dear life.
Yeah. So we can't be expected to do the triple axel when we only have clinging to the wall skills. So the more practice getting on the ice more and more, practicing ways to stop, ways to pivot, how the body feels when we're doing these new ice dancing skills is the same thing for all of these DBT skills.
Thank you. And thank you, Rachel, for thinking I could have ever done a triple axel, but because
Or to change other people. That's a big thing. We can't change other people or other situations. All we can do is work on changing ourselves, but we could try to accept that it is what it is in that moment.
so
Memo-
that's my issue for you,
yes,
Rachel,
please.
as Jamie client, as we wrap up
Please,
the
Jamie
recording.
Client, yes.
it is not acceptable what my father did to me. It is not acceptable how the leadership in this country is behaving. It is
Correct.
not acceptable that things are the way they are.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really struggling with this idea of accept the things I cannot change.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So again, I'm going to pull out the favorite thing that you love so much is that teeter-totter. When it comes back to dialectics, can it be both and? Can, on the one hand, we absolutely hate what's been going on in the world. We hate what's been going on politically. We hate what your father ended up doing. And on the other hand, can we say, these things have happened. I wish that I could change it in this moment. I wish that I could make it better. I wish that there's something as me as an individual could make a big difference so that it's not acceptable, because it's not. Can we hold both of those things to be true at the same time? Can we have that balance of, no, that's really crappy, it's not acceptable, but also it is what it is, and I'm doing the best with the current situation with what is within and without my control.
I don't like it as what it is. I hear that and I bristle because like even the politicians are using it now. And I mean, people would often say that to me to kind of shut me down. Is there another way we can
Yeah.
word that?
Sure. So instead of it being kind of that, it is what it is there another way that maybe you have thought about it? That instead of this, it is what it is kind of language.
You might laugh at me.
Okay. What's the danger in that?
Life sucks and I can deal with it.
I think that's well said. Life sucks and I can deal with it. Again, right? Teeter-totter. Life sucks on one hand. On the other hand, I can deal with it, or I can cope, or I can manage. Or for some of the other skills that we talked about, I can ride the wave. The waves are going to keep being there, but I can ride the wave. I think that was very well said, Jamie.
And can I just make a deal with you if we're going to go on in therapy together?
Absolutely.
Please don't ever say it is what it is.
Absolutely. You have my word. You absolutely have my word. Would it be helpful if I kind of wrote that down so that if there's ever a time that you are concerned that, oh my gosh, we're talking about radical acceptance, I'm afraid that Rachel's going to say that dreaded phrase, that you have in writing that I have agreed that I'm not going to ever say that in session? Do you think that would be helpful to have as a reminder?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, absolutely. And scene.
Although I want to let all of you know, I am truly not making fun of client. This is me as a,
no, that's not making fun at all.
As a client coming out. I mean, and I hope you're just finding it helpful to compared to maybe some of the client scenarios you've dealt with.